What's going on, everybody? Welcome in Fantasy Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. With me here is, of course, Craig Mish. Happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, Craig Mish. Star Wars Day today. And, listen, I understand that fantasy baseballers are a little self-conscious about their nerddom, that they don't want to double impact the nerddom by throwing Star Wars on there. But, come on, baby. Star Wars. How much fun.
Oh, man, I was a big Star Wars fan. Look at this. I got my lightsaber out here, ready to go for today, for our little live stream here. I know you got your world-famous tattoo there, too. I'm sure you'll show everybody as well.
There we go. I can just show that to the crowd right there. There you go.
That's legit, and that's a forever tattoo. It's Grateful Dead. Yeah, man, look, let's be honest here. Baseball is during the season. It's May the 4th, so you understand that that's the reason why baseball really embraced Star Wars nights. They do them all over the country. I think that, being that I'm 45 years old and I went to see all the movies when I was a kid, except for the first one. I did not see Star Wars, the original one, in the movies because I think I was too young if I want to go all the way that far back. I've seen every other one in the movies more than once. I've had the DVDs. I've had the reboots. I put them on surround sound. I've embraced it. I know a lot of people love it. Some people don't, maybe because they haven't seen it. And now, Howard, that I have kids, they're getting into it as well. I was crazy back in the day. I had all the figures and everything else. Now, obviously, not as much as I used to be, but I still think it's a pretty cool deal. And the fact that baseball has really embraced it, too, has made it easy for us. We don't look like complete idiots, right?
We don't look like complete idiots. I know I already put out a tweet yesterday to anybody, and I'll say this right here. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. You can catch it over on your Twitter feed if you want. I've put this out on Twitter. If you can get me the Aaron Judge Jedi bobblehead doll that they're giving away tonight at Yankee Stadium, free Playbook Pro at Fantasy Alarm for life. I will click a couple of buttons and I will give it to you forever. All right, just for that, just an Aaron Judge Jedi bobblehead doll. That's all I'm looking for. You can email me, howard@fantasyalarm.com, or you can follow me on Twitter @RotoBuzzGuy and send me a message telling me that you got my hookup. I got your hookup right there as well.
Did you say lifetime, by the way?
Lifetime forever. That's it. Why not?
Just for the bobbleheads?
Just for the Aaron Judge Jedi bobblehead, not just any bobblehead.
No, I got you. The one they're giving away tonight. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna have to see if I know anybody there for you too. I'll dig in on that. It's not an easy one, but yeah, I think. Listen, we're headed toward a great weekend. Fantasy baseball season, we're over a month in. I think that for people who say you don't look at the standings, you're probably in last place. I mean, now's the time to start looking, kind of to see where you're at. We'll get into waiver wire discussion a little bit. I don't think this is going to be a huge week. I think this will be a little quiet because I think that people have been ahead of the game if they've been listening to you on radio or me or watching our live streams. So, no real significant names, although I think the big news today in baseball, if there is news, is that Jose Bautista is back in the big leagues with the Atlanta Braves, which is a little bizarre, but he becomes fantasy relevant again on a very good team. And for leagues that he wasn't picked up and people were waiting to see if he was, if the Braves are going to give him a shot, I think that's kind of where we start today. I'm surprised by it, but, fantasy relevance, you can't ignore it.
I mean, how much fantasy relevance do you really think? Yeah, listen, I understand he's got a great bat, he's got a great swing, but you're putting him in the National League right now. You're putting him on a team that has really, really gelled nicely here since the beginning of the season. You're getting your young call-ups, guys like Soroka. I'm sure Luis Guijara is going to be en route. You've got some young infielders in a guy like Johan Camargo, where if you've got superstars like Albies and Acuna, and you want the stability of a Nick Markakis, although I think that even though he went
He's played better than you thought, though.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, it's April, dude. It's April. Okay? Listen, I was sitting here, I went nuts the other day about it because I'm like, in DFS, you stay away from the expectations of lefty on lefty crime. Like, it's just never going to work. And what happens? The Braves are facing a lefty, and Nick Markakis goes 3 for 4 with a double, a home run, 4 RBI, 3-run score, like insanity like that. So, yay baseball! Thanks a lot. Really appreciate what you do to me. But I don't like this move to me. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem to me like if Batista was in an American League team, okay, fine, let him DH. That's totally cool. And I get that. But now you're talking to me about Jose Bautista playing third base, playing the hot corner for the Braves right now. Do you think his defense is going to be up to par?
Yeah, I don't know. He played 8 games. He played 8 games last year there, and I guess that he was adequate enough. But let's dive in a little deeper. Okay, so for a fantasy perspective, in every NL league, if he's not owned, absolutely have to pick him up. In every 15-team league, you got to consider it. If you have injuries, a few bucks, $2-3 just to see what would happen. In a 12-team league, I don't know. And I can't even see the production good enough to start him in a 12-team league. So we're talking about NL, and we're talking about, I think, 15 or deeper at this point. Now let's look at the reality point of view of this whole situation. The Braves are the hottest team in baseball.
Yep.
They've won 5 games in a row. And the message they're sending is somebody that we've gotten to this point with isn't good enough, and this guy is better. That's a weird message. And I'm not against Jose Bautista at all. I think you're 100% right. You put him in Detroit or Baltimore, he plays every day right now. And by the way, you put him on those teams and they trade him to a contender in July or August. It's a smart thing to do. The Marlins should sign him to any team that could sign him. The Braves are contenders and playing as well as they have. And, I'm invested in Camargo. So, I have some bias here in Tout Wars. And I talked about this morning on Tout Wars Day in the NL, Howard. I threw out $5 and no one said a word. I thought, oh, like that was a bad move. But I don't know. I mean, if I had said 3, would somebody have said 4? If I would have said 4, would somebody have said 5? I would have had to go 6. We'll never know the answer to that, but it was silence in the room. I just don't. I'm not like huge into chemistry and clubhouse and all that. I know some other people are, but this is a weird one because you put him already in an environment where the team is red hot. Or is everybody around high-fiving and saying, yeah, now we got Bautista. We're in good shape. Like, is this like getting Verlander to Houston for the pennant race? I don't think so. So it is questionable. And by the way, the only thing that this can do, Howard, in my opinion, is go the wrong way, right? Like this could go the opposite way. This doesn't go well. And everyone's like, why did we do this? So I think you do it on a team that's 11-18 as opposed to a team that's 18-11. So I am curious to see how this does work out. But from a fantasy perspective, if he gets 300 plate appearances, he probably hits 15 home runs. He probably bats 220. I mean, that, by the way, in an NL league is a must pick up because that's 15 extra home runs. But in the other formats, it's a no for me. Very curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I've got Camargo in actually the NL only league that you and I are in together. And I've been very happy with him. I don't know. I think I have enough Braves that I didn't take him in NL only for labor. But I mean, now it's like, do I go after a guy like Bautista? I don't really think I need him in NL labor. I don't even think that it's really worth that effort or that time for me, just based on my team structure. But I'll happily let somebody else blow their fab budget on Joey Bats. I mean, but here's the thing, and like, let me ask you this because I don't really know from a personal standpoint what kind of a clubhouse guy he is. Like,
you've heard both sides. I've heard both sides of that. Some people say he's a me guy, and some people say, back when he was hitting all those home runs, he was a great guy to be around. I really don't know. I don't know the player that well. He's always been okay with me. So I don't have a, major issue with it, but I got to tell you, when that transaction comes down today at 3:00, Howard, and this team sees Preston Tucker go to the minor leagues, I mean, I don't know. I mean, how would that sit? I can't put myself in that spot, but like, I mean, if we were sitting here doing the Fantasy Alarm live stream and Matt was doing the broadcast and you were behind the camera all of a sudden, I'd feel a little weird about it. Yeah. So, I mean, that's, no offense, Matt, but, I'm just saying, like, it's just like Preston Tucker got you to this point. Like, I mean, are they going to say we want to play him every day or something in the minor league? Like, I don't know. But that's the rumor, by the way, that Tucker's going to go down.
Yeah, no, listen, I understand that that's the rumor. Listen, I'm invested in Preston Tucker. I've been this my whole anti-Nick Markakis thing has been about the fact that Tucker's like, this is what I don't understand what the Braves are doing. Now I know this is Alex Anthopoulos. This is Anthopoulos written all over it. He had Joey Bats when he was in Toronto, and he's bringing him over there, and there's a little bit of nepotism going on there. Well, I mean, they're not related, but it's nepotism to a certain degree here. And it boggles my mind that the Braves are doing this. Now, obviously, you could say, well, it's working to keep Nick Markakis in there. You like his defense. And Preston Tucker, as hot as he was at the plate, Nick Markakis, we're going to say, is the better overall player here. I just don't know if you could say that about Jose Bautista. I really don't. And it just kind of bothers me. It bothers me when I see an organization who is having success, who is doing all the right things, is all of a sudden doing some of the wrong things. And I'm just worried that maybe this bites them in the ass a little bit, and then maybe, if the Joey Bats situation doesn't work out, what does that do to the rest of the team?
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's a fair question. I think it's fair. Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, we'll have to see. But from a fantasy perspective, I think that you had the right card pulled there. It's a little bit of a wait and see, but you never want to be too timid with any player, because if you don't jump on them, somebody else will. For example, in an NL-only league in that format. But, Tucker goes down. By the way, Lane Adams didn't embarrass himself either when he was with the Braves until Acuna came back also. And I would ask, our people who are watching the live stream, and think about this for a second. And you think about it too, Howard. I know that you watch all the games. You watch a lot. They're great matchups. Yankees, Astros. You got Pujols going for 3,000. But if there's one thing that you want to watch on TV in baseball right now, it's the Braves, man. Let me turn on that first inning to see Albies get up, Acuna get up. I mean, that's the must-see TV part about baseball right now, and that tells you something. The Braves are back on the map like that, and we can't predict how it's going to play out, but I'm not dropping Camargo in any league or anything like that. It's just a matter of any player that comes up in fantasy, you have to at least invest something to see what they could be and hope for the best, but I think my projection would be less than 20 home runs, 40, 50 runs driven in, and 300 plate appearances at best.
I like it. All right, let's talk. So if Joey Bats' stock is on the rise and Johan Camargo's stock is on the decline, let's talk about some rising and falling players right now, and players who we like. So let's go with the good first here. Let's start off on a positive note. Let's talk about whose stock is on the rise right now. Go ahead and give me a player who you're looking at right now and you're saying playing time is rock solid for him. The situation is good for him. He's swinging a hot bat. Who can I look towards for a potential boost in value?
There's a couple, and the three names that we'll go through are all players that are probably owned in American League onlys and deeper leagues, but maybe some 10 or 12 team leagues not owned, or maybe even some players that you could potentially attack and not have to ask a lot for return. The biggest question that I'm asked this week is Jorge Soler, by far. People are asking me on Twitter, should I cut player A for Soler? Is it real? I don't really know that we know the answer to it, but it just seems like the opportunity he's making the most of, first of all. Second of all, the guy is walking, which he has never done over the course of his career, and I don't know who's responsible for that. Their bench coach, Dale Swaim, or Ned Yost, whoever it is. They've done a really nice job with him, and he's hitting for power in a non-pressure situation, unlike Chicago. Kansas City's not going anywhere. They're giving him full at-bats. And I think that if you're looking for somebody that could be, similar to me, reminds me of like the Trey Mancini a little bit of last year, I think Soler could be that guy this year. 20, 22 home runs, maybe 70 runs. He's not driving in runs. The Kansas City has nothing. But, 70 runs driven in, 270. That's a fourth or fifth outfielder in a 12-team league. So I think stock is definitely up on Soler. Every 12-team league, every American League he should be owned. Michael Brantley looks healthy. He's had some really big hits this week. The Indians' offense is starting to come alive. Bradley Zimmer has done nothing to really give you a lot of confidence. Maybe this is the Brantley that we haven't seen in a couple of years, health notwithstanding. That's the whole key with him. And maybe the ability to steal some bases, too. Lindor has been hot. Encarnacion hit 3 home runs in one game. And if the Indians are going to score a bunch of runs, Brantley's going to be the beneficiary of that. So runs, some home runs, maybe some runs driven in and some stolen bases. And then the other player is the guy that we saw play in that doubleheader, who's now getting a ton of playing time, is Yangervis Solarte. And he doesn't really have a lot of competition right now. When we did the live stream on Tuesday, we talked about Troy Tulowitzki. Eventually he will come back. And because of his salary, they will attempt to try and play him. But for the time being, Solarte can slide in with some infield, some outfield. Grichuk is on the DL. And Aledmys Diaz, although he's hit some home runs, he's batting, I think, under 200 for the season. So I think Solarte is penciled in right now and should be owned, I think, in every league as well as he's hitting right now. So stock is up for me with those three players. Soler, Brantley, and Brantley, and Solarte would be the three that come to mind for me. How about you?
Well, let's address these three here right now, because it's kind of funny because you and I both work with Jim Bowden, and I'm sure you've had the conversations with him about Jorge Soler, and he hates Soler. He doesn't like the hit tool. He doesn't like the player. And what I'm curious as to whether or not, you look at a guy like Soler and you say, okay, he is playing well right now. Yes, Ned Yost is batting him second in the order right now, which that's great. That's fine. If you're putting him behind, right in front of Mike Moustakas, well, then he's got a little bit of lineup protection, and we've got something good there. Maybe they pitch around him a little bit and he increases the walks. Is this sustainable? That's the question. Like, if I'm going to sit here, I'm not, if Jorge Soler is out on the waiver wire, then I don't care. Okay, fine. I'll make a bid for him, and I'll try and pick him up while he's hot, and I'll ride the wave until it breaks. But if you're making a trade for for a guy like Soler, you have to have the expectation that he's going to be helpful for you long term. Do you see him being helpful for the long term, or again, is this just a hope that he's out on the waiver wire and pick him up?
Yeah, I think, Howard, when it comes to players like this, the one thing that you look at is, to me at least, is the player's walk rate to see if he's seeing the ball better, because that's a pretty good indication. And over the course of his career, this is a guy that hasn't walked at all. So to see the fact that he is starting to do that this year, he walked, in 35 games last year, 110 at-bats, Howard, he walked 12 times. This year in 27 games, he's walked 19 times. His on-base percentage is 43%, which is 100 points above. And the reason isn't because of BABIP. It's because he's getting on base with the walks. So I believe that it can be sustainable. Now, look, if you're asking me in terms of trade, and that's a different story. I mean, you got to be careful with dealing with that. But I just think that, this was a guy that came over with a ton of pressure. I believe he was traded for Wade Davis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
From the Cubs to Kansas City, Wade Davis went back, won a World Series with Chicago, so Soler completely bombed out. Maybe there's just isn't pressure on him, or whatever they've done. His approach has definitely changed. Are you going to get 100 runs driven in from Soler? No chance. 90, I would probably even say no chance also.
No, but I'm looking for 20 home runs.
I think you're getting it. I think you're getting it this year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And who else? Solarte, I agree with. I agree with Michael Brantley. What about Steve Souza? Just got bumped up to off the DL. He's now going to be playing regularly over in right field for the Diamondbacks. Obviously, that pushes down the stock for Gerard Dyson a little bit more there. I mean, we haven't. Well, yeah, of course. Well, Dyson to me has always been a guy who you just he's always been a fourth guy. He's a guy that if you have him on your roster, it's because you're desperate for stolen bases and you're trying to stream him in as much as possible. Maybe he gets those pinch running opportunities here. But I actually, it's kind of funny. I haven't tracked yet because it's only been the first month of the season. Maybe I should probably do that and dive into a little bit of more research here. But the impact of the bats in Arizona right now, and has the humidor really had any kind of a negative impact on some of these guys? Because listen, you take a guy like Souza, okay, the dude will hit for power no matter where he is. He hit for power in the Trop. He can hit for power in Arizona, even with the humidor. But the question is this guy going to hit more than 250? Is he going to hit more than 240? That's always been a problem for him. Now, opportunity is always one of the biggest components that you want in fantasy baseball. You want a guy who's going to see the at-bats as much as possible. Where do you rank a guy like Souza among the outfielders right now? And do you see, again, a nice similar power production from him moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, so far the environment has proven that the humidor is working. There was an article recently written, and I should know who did it because I like to give credit, but apparently they're giving a lot of credit to Dan Herron, the former pitcher of the Diamondbacks. He has been their pitching coordinator this year and working on a lot of the advanced metrics. So he's taking some credit for it as well. Look, in terms of power, AJ Pollock is killing it. David Peralta has looked great to this point. So I don't think it's affected their offense significantly. Goldschmidt hasn't gotten off to the best start. Souza for me is just somebody that I've never been in on. It's not that I avoid him, but he's the kind of player that reminds me of the old Colby Rasmus, honestly, where April could be a 0, but then this guy gets super hot in May, and he is like the name in DFS that you're targeting a lot. That, if Souza's hot, he's 2 for 4 with 3 runs. He's 1 for 4 with a 3-run home run. But for a season-long league, I sometimes I don't like riding those waves, those up and downs. And it seems like he's a pretty streaky player and has some injury history. So, you drafted him, and you drafted him probably knowing he was hurt. I think he got hurt the last week of spring, if I'm not mistaken. So, in a 12-team league, he's probably like my 4th outfielder. It wouldn't shock me to see him hit 15 home runs the rest of the season, steal 10 bases. But I don't have like huge expectations for him. And I think that if he gets off to a really hot start, which is possible, I would look to trade him because he has these waves, and he had him in Tampa too. I think last April he was phenomenal, and then didn't do anything for May and June, like nothing. And that's why I made the Rasmus comparison, because he does remind me of him a little bit. Where if you know when you can ride the wave, you know how to acquire him or use him in daily.
Yeah. All right. One more guy here for stock rising. Let's talk about Ender Inciarte. We covered the Braves. We might as well just keep doing this. Inciarte, leads the major leagues with 13 stolen bases right now. The dude's absolutely killing it.
I think D. Gordon got 2 last night, so he moved ahead of him. But yes, you're right. In the NL, for sure.
Ender Inciarte still sitting at 13 stolen bases is huge, but let's bat him in the 9-hole.
Don't get it, don't understand it, but I don't like it. I mean, you look at a lineup that has Inciarte first, Albies second, Acuna third, and Freeman fourth. What's wrong with that? I don't know. You tell me. I have no idea.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. But they're not losing, and they're winning every game. So let's not break anything that's not broken, but yet let's bring up Jose Bautista. So you tell me. I have no idea.
I don't really understand it either. I mean, I was asking Jim about this, and he was just talking about the on base percentage, and Albies on base percentage and Acuna's on base percentage in comparison to that of Inciarte. Now, Inciarte's OBP is 326 right now. Not the worst in the world. Is it a 360 mark? Is it a 380 mark? No. But is it 9-hole material here, though? That's the problem for me. The guy has been a fantastic table setter. The guy's got 35 hits right now and 127 at-bats. I don't see what's so terrible about that. You're not going to lock down. I don't necessarily know if Albies and Acuna are going to be 350 or better OBP all season long with 300 batting averages. If that's the case, well, then maybe. Okay, maybe then it's possible. Keep Inciarte down.
It's possible, but now thinking it through here, maybe the better choice would be Albies leading off, Inciarte second, and then Acuna third. But either way, can you really go wrong? You can if you own Inciarte. I do in one league. And without him, I have no steals. Like, it is crazy. Like I don't want to even give myself credit because he shouldn't have this many steals. He's never stolen like this before. But boy, he is giving you something that you never thought that you would have expected. And from that category, it's such a miracle to get that power. Guys come up, they hit 20 home runs, 30, 40, 50 home runs, and it's unexpected. And we say thanks, but you need other home runs to make that happen. You don't need to get 200 home runs like you do in steals. Like, you get 100 steals, you're loving it. And yeah, the league that I have in Inciarte, I don't think I have anybody that has more than 3 other than him. So if you would have told me he had 5 at this point, I would have said yes. He's got so many.
No. Listen, I'm leading our NL only league in stolen bases right now, or I'm like at the top. Yeah. And no, I don't even have Inciarte. Oh. It's Trey Turner. He's the only one doing it for me.
But you expected that, though. So
right. That's why I drafted
first overall. Yeah. You got what you paid for there. But, yeah, I wish I would have taken him more. I really can't complain because I was the Albies guy, at the beginning of the year. On SiriusXM, we did that whole, prediction grid. I'm the only one that had him as the breakout star. He's on all my teams. I'm making up for lost time for last year when I was so brutal. So, when people are talking about him, I guess, people are, getting tired of it. And I hear a lot of it on the channel because let's be honest, if you don't draft the player and you hear us talking about him all the time, it just makes you sick to know that somebody else had him. But sorry, like the guy has been, we're not going to talk about Mike Trout. Are we not going to talk about Mookie Betts? Those guys were taken in the first round. And right now, if you had to do a draft all over again for the rest of the season in a 12-team league, where would Albies be drafted? Second round, latest.
Yeah,
the
probably.
Latest. Yeah,
probably.
It's probably the same thing. Second round, the latest. Like I could make the case that Albies could be the 11th pick or 12th pick in the first round, but I'll give you the second. And look where he was drafted in comparison: 6th round, 7th round, 8th round in some drafts.
Best $17 I ever spent in NL labor. Best $17 I ever spent.
Phenomenal. Every day I look at it, I'm so happy. Like I'm so like I have an old tweet where my first two guys were Scherzer and Albies. I'm like, oh, like this was just like worked, finally. It's a good feeling.
I love it. All right, before we get to the guys whose stock is falling right now, number of questions coming in here, but let's see. I'm going to troll on Facebook. Edward Rouse, I appreciate you watching, but stop trolling me with thoughts about Nick Markakis. I don't want it. I hate him.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is one of those where I'm not telling you to take the loss at all, but it's one of those where you just have to tip that Yankees cap and say, hey, like this guy is doing like for me that guy.
No.
For me, that guy this year is Garrett Cole. That's the guy. Like, hey, like I wasn't on Garrett Cole. I had him last year. There definitely was bias for me having him last year and him struggling and it, hurting my season a lot. I had him in 2 leagues. It's one of those things where I have to say I was wrong. Everybody that does go to Houston apparently is better. And, and the end of the story. I'm sorry. I screwed up. Like that was not a guy that I was in on.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and compare the value of Garrett Cole and what he's done to the value of Nick Markakis and what he's done. No, there's zero comparison. And by the end of the season, Nick Markakis will have fewer than 12 home runs. He will have fewer than 10 stolen bases. He will be hitting .290. And that's about it. That's really what you're getting out of him.
How many home runs does he have?
I don't know. Has he got like 3 or 4 right now? You want me to look him up? I'll look him up.
I think he has 5.
Ooh, not 5. Let's see. Yes, he does. 5 home runs. With a 336 average.
I know, but look, I get it, but you really think the number is 12 for the home runs after having 5 at this stage? Like, that's,
dude, listen, we've seen guys do this in the month of April. I mean, do we have to go through the Brian Lahares and the Chris Sheltons of the world? Nick Markakis has a rock.
He's been around for a long time.
He has a rock solid track record of never hitting more. 15 home runs is where he topped out in 2011. Oh, I'm sorry. He hit 18 in 2009. All right. He went from like the 20 home runs in Baltimore to a steady decline of 18 in 2009. He had a dozen in 2010, 15 in 2011. Since he's come over to the Braves, he's hit 3, 13, 8, and 5. Okay, that's where he's at right now. He hit 8 home runs last year, dude.
I understand. Well, I'm going to pull up somebody here.
In 156 games in 2015, the dude had 3 home runs, Craig. 3.
Okay.
Right,
hold on.
I'm going to question.
Hold on.
You looked at that crap
Not yet. I'll answer this question for me. Is it possible that a player that hit 5 home runs in 2011, 9 home runs in 2012, 6 home runs in 2013, 7 home runs in 2014, 5 home runs in 2015, 7 home runs in 2016, and then 28 in 2018. Is that possible?
I love steroids too. Get me all jacked up. Yonder Alonso. Yeah, okay. So there's nothing funny going on with Yonder Alonso and his increased launch angle, right? Yeah, okay.
Maybe Markakis is doing the launch angle, man.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's exactly what he's doing. No. You're crazy. You must have did you get kicked in the head with by a mule? Oh, yeah, okay. Fine. You're right. My Yoda hat here will immediately, dog hair and all over it, will immediately outdo that lightsaber, my friend. Immediately. All right. Here's a question here from Edward Rouse about Jose Peraza. Is he worth a pickup for, say, Zach Cozart? Are his stats sustainable?
He's stolen some more bases recently. He's gotten on base. The Reds have played better. There's a story this morning on Nick Senzel, which is, unfortunately a pretty negative story, saying that they're holding him out of games now because they think that he's having some dizziness issues, and I guess he had vertigo last year. Obviously, this is a terrible story and sign if this is indeed the case, but we'll reserve judgment for when the story makes its way out completely. But I read about that this morning. They're still giving Peraza the ability to play every single day. I'm not in on him at all. I wouldn't trade for him, but if you're asking me in terms of a pickup, absolutely. This is just like anybody else sitting out on the waiver wire. 2 weeks ago, I added Rajai Davis. He stole 2 bases. I cut him. Stole another 2 bases this week. Got caught 3 times, by the way, this week too. Steals are hard to come by. If that's what you need, pick them up.
All right, here we go. Our friend Adam Lorber from the Staten Island Yankees. 2 of my favorite. He
sent me such a long email today. It's like, where do I even begin? I'm sorry, man, but I mean, he sent me the long. I'm like really done with them. Did you hear my rant on them? You didn't hear my rant on them.
On who?
On the radio show. On the Lorber family. I went off on them completely on Sirius XM.
On our friend Adam Lorber from the Staten
Island.
Absolutely,
and his dad, yes.
And his dad? What's going on?
We had a nice 1-hour conversation before draft season.
Uh-huh.
The only thing I told him a lot of what, my advice on some things to do. The only thing I said to make sure you do is get Ozzie Albies. The only thing. Look, I don't care whatever happens, just make sure you get that guy. What happened?
You didn't get him.
Didn't get him.
So you're done with him. You're wiping your hands and feet of him.
I mean, I'm not going to wipe him, but I am.
Lorber, you're still Hall of Fame in my book, man. I don't care what Craig says.
Can you if I'm not saying that anyone has to take my advice or not, but it all goes back to why I would give you the high five. Like we did that stupid fantasy football draft. I said, Howard, just take this Ezekiel Elliott guy. And you text me, boom, I'm going to do it. Because you're like, I pretty much trust him. Like, if he says this, he's not, trying to steer me wrong. And the best was, you know why I was upset? Not because they didn't take him, but the response I got. They asked me a question, I think his dad asked me a question on Twitter. And I'm like, listen, it's going to be okay, though, because I didn't know who they got. I'm like, but it's going to be okay because you got Albies, right? No, he was too expensive.
All right, well, then this question is coming from somebody else then, all right? I will bypass the Lorber's question here.
Adam Orber.
All right.
He knows I'm just messing with him, but I'll answer the emails, the soliloquies later today. What's the quick question?
Okay, needs to replace Johnny Cueto and Jordan Montgomery.
Can't get Albies now, can you? What happened? Oh, you have Cueto. Oh, sorry.
Can activate John. Well, he's a Giants fan, dude. Come on, you know that.
Maybe you should pick up Suarez. He looks great.
He can activate John Gray. Now, behave yourself, Craig. Behave yourself. He can activate John Gray. He's got 2 spots, 12 teams, 7x7. Hellickson, Andrees, Brad Peacock are available. Spend a lot of fab for Mike Soroka or $1 for somebody like Mitch Keller.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
No for Mitch Keller.
I think
all in on Soroka.
I think Jim is in on him, and I don't know. I mean, King of if he pitches well, I just don't see a spot for Keller right now. But Chad Kuhl would be the odd man out. Not impossible. I saw Mitch Keller, I think, pitch in the Futures game. He could be okay. But, I mean, come on. I mean, Soroka, everything that we've talked about, I mean, he outdueled Syndergaard, man. Come on. That's these are the kind of guys I think you got to let it fly on, Howard, right? With Fab, I mean, this is the reason why you save the money for him.
Well, the question is, I mean, listen, a guy like Soroka, I'm definitely in on. I like his skill set. But, I mean, people are, Walker Buehler, Fernando Romero, I mean, all of these young kids are popping up. Nick Kingham, they're all popping up. A lot of them are having really nice debuts.
Romero was cheap. Yeah, I mean, those guys were cheap, though. And now the question that I would ask is that if you're in a format that allowed you to get Soroka prior to Sunday, why didn't you make the move at that point? Because there was some discussion about how he could come up. But I understand not everybody's listening to us or paying attention. I get it. Look, Hellickson for $1 on Washington. I think they'll get better. Definitely a viable move. 5 2/3, 3 earned runs, 6 innings, 4 earned runs. You would assume that offense will be better in time. That would be my fallback option. But I would unload for Soroka. He's playing on a team that's scoring 8, 9 runs a game. All he's got to do is get through 5 innings. You're going to get wins.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. All right. Andrew Galvin wants to know any advice on Elvis Andrus. I've got Didi Gregorius at shortstop, can hold Andrus on the DL, but would like to put together a trade for him or cut him loose, like package him up and ship him out, or just dump him all together. Yeah,
very hard. So at the guys like that, ultimate sell low. Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre, Archer on Tampa. Like, what are you? I mean, you're selling so low. You're not going to get back anything in return. If you want to trade Andrus, I think he's coming back in the next 2 weeks. You wait till he comes back, let him hit a little, and then you make that move. And by the way, there's a chance Didi will slow down. I mean, it's not impossible that Didi's not going to hit 50 home runs. You may need Andrus at some point. So I wouldn't, unless we're talking about like an 8-team league. In any other format, Andrus still should hit 10 to 15 home runs and steal 20 bases the rest of the season.
Yeah, I look at a guy like Andrus, and I like him for stashing purposes, especially now that you've been dealing with that. And as much as I'm a Yankees fan, as much as I love what Didi's doing, is Didi Gregorius going to be a 40 home run hitter? No, I just don't see that happening there. I definitely see him slowing down a little bit.
Sure.
I would shop both and just see what the return possibilities are for each of them. If you don't need the extra shortstop, some leagues don't play with a middle infielder, and if that's the case, then you can throw one into your utility spot. But for the most part, I would see who gives you that bigger return, who's dealing one or the other could possibly help you win your league, depending on what somebody gives you back.
A perfect example of this kind of discussion for me. And not always, because with Aaron Judge, I mean, he's almost on the verge of being untradeable in fantasy. I mean, he's off to a great start. Stanton in the right deal. Didi is the kind of guy that if I'm in a fantasy league, and you could be watching this live stream from anywhere in the country, and this doesn't apply to people. Excuse me. Let's say I have a 12-team league. All you guys are playing near Howard in the Bay Area. Doesn't apply. Let's say you're playing in the Northeast. And you know that there's a big Yankee fan out there. How have the Yankees gotten to this point? I mean, Didi Gregorius has been arguably the MVP of the Yankees to this point. You may be able to call that guy and say, I'm thinking about trading Didi, and that guy may be a Yankees fan and be willing to overpay. It doesn't apply to every situation, but the Yankees fans are pretty passionate. And if I'm playing with other guys in the Northeast that have been paying attention, I mean, I think that's the bias of the area sometimes can play a part, and that would be the way that I would push it.
All right, Brian Silverman wants to know, do you think Matt Adams will get enough playing time this season, and is he worth a pickup? Also, do you think there's any chance for Hader being the Brewers' closer this season? I'll take the Hader part here. You can think about a nice response for Matt lefty bat Adams. Hader is going to be that middle relief guy once Corey Knebel comes back. As long as Corey Knebel comes back and is healthy, they're going to want to put him into the ninth inning there, because it's just more valuable for them to have Josh Hader shutting down the 7th and 8th innings. If the opposition is rallying, you throw Hader in there for 2 innings, boom, goes right to Corey Knebel. I think Craig Counsell is all about that, and I think that's the way they're going to structure it. For the most part. I mean, listen, with Milwaukee's bullpen right now, if they get their starters to go 5 innings, put Hader in the 6th and 7th, a mix of Barnes and Matt Albers and Jeremy Jeffress in the 8th, and then boom, Knebel in the 9th. I mean, it shortens the game for the Brew Crew, and it makes it a lot easier for them. So as much as I love Hader, I just don't think that he's going to be getting the saves later on once Knebel comes back. I do think, though, he's phenomenal to own as a great ratio stabilizer and a good supplement for your strikeouts. Now, Matt Adams, on the other hand, Craig.
Yeah, Matt Adams has a chance to play more. He's swung the bat well when he's gotten the opportunity. I think that for the most part with Ryan Zimmerman, he was, to me, one of the few hits that I had last year, lucky hit off the waiver wire, and he had that fantastic year. I didn't see any way that he would repeat that. But no matter how much Adams plays, and this is something you have to keep in mind, and Matt Adams will never bat against left-handed pitching. That will never happen. He's always going to sit against lefties. So if you're playing in a weekly league where you can't make the moves, you have to know in advance in the week if Adams is going against the NL West and it's Kershaw and it's Lucchesi or what. I mean, you pick your pitcher. He's not going to play in those games. So he's always going to be hampered by that ability or that inability to play against lefties. So I like him. I think there's a chance for more playing time there, but you always have to temper your expectations there because I think that Ryan Zimmerman will play against left-handed pitching constantly.
Ooh, the sun's shining bright on you right now. Look at that. It's like
the windows are going open.
Like the baseball gods are smiling on you. They're like, listen to what he's saying about Matt Adams. That's the truth, baby. That's the truth, yo. All right, let me hit more questions here, and we'll still get to our stock falling segment. All right, our man Chris Wolf over on the YouTube says he got hit by the Hyunjin Ryu injury. 10-team head-to-head. Should he be dropped? Should Ryu be dropped? Best available on the wire right now, Trevor Williams, Sean Newcomb, Miles Michaelis, Tyson Ross, Mike Fultonavich, and Tanner Roark.
What do you think? I saw one name above them all, and it's clear.
The only name I really dig on that crew there is Newcomb for the strikeout upside.
That's the one.
I don't hate Trevor Williams, though, and you look at what Trevor Williams did against. He's pitched really well this season. Pitched a great game against the Nationals the other day. Granted, it was a day game, and I'm sure the Nationals are out making it rain at the club and partying their asses off in order to celebrate the fact that Bryce Harper is the greatest leadoff hitter of all time. Next to Mookie Betts.
Not quite. But yeah, Trevor Williams, you're right, man. Getting a lot of ground balls and keeping his team in the game. I mean, that's just a guy that you have to wonder if it can be sustained. I interviewed him at the ballpark a couple weeks ago. He seemed pretty confident in it. But what's happening is with all these strikeouts, pitchers, what we're saying about almost all of them. Oh, he's getting more swings and misses. Everybody's getting more swings and misses, like across the board. Yeah. Every single player. It's the percentages of how many more swings and misses you're getting. Because using the analysis of saying the pitcher's getting more swings and misses is pretty lazy. Because again, everybody is. There's more strikeouts, so that's what's going to happen. Trevor Williams will be the second one for me on the list, but I think Newcomb stands out in a big way there. He looked phenomenal his last time out, playing on a good team that's scoring a lot of runs. I just want pieces of the Braves.
Listen, a lefty getting his home starts at SunTrust, I'm in. I am 100%.
You know the park factor is better than me there, but yeah, I think he's locked in as their number 3 or 2. Yep. I think he started the season as their 4, but yeah, he above all those other names. It was once you said his name, that was the guy for me.
Yeah. All right. So would you drop Ryu, or he would have to drop either Billy Hamilton, Trey Mancini, Steve Souza, and somebody named Rodriguez? Now, I'm sure there are like 30 guys named Rodriguez, but I don't know who he's going to have to, which one it is. Let's say it's the worst Rodriguez possible. I'm going
to assume it's not I'm going to assume it's the Red Sox Rodriguez.
It's Eduardo, not Sean Rodriguez? Is that what you're saying?
I would hope. I'll go, I'll just cut Ryu.
Yeah. Torn groin off the bone. Like, automatically.
Somebody was like all over him this year, like loved him. I don't remember who it was, but I don't remember.
I watched him, and we saw the same things going on. I actually did a show on SiriusXM with Dave Loughran. And Laffy was really into some of the changes that Ryu made, and it goes right to all the stuff that we're hearing between Trevor Bauer and the Houston Astros right now. It's all about spin rate. And you look at the massive increase in spin rate that Ryu has gotten on his fastball this season. That's been helping with the strikeouts. He throws his cutter every so often there, so he gets the ground ball outs too. But yeah, I'm sorry. Torn groin off the bone. That to me is an immediate bye-bye. Yeah, I'm more than happy to find a number of arms that I can sift through in the second half rather than have to worry about.
I have no interest. Yeah, I mean the guy's going to be out till July. I mean you're talking about all other players that are viable. So
yeah.
All
right. Sean Sarah wants to know: would you take David Peralta and Masahiro Tanaka for Lorenzo Cain 5x5 Roto? Says he's sitting pretty in steals right now.
Peralta and Tanaka, both those guys
for Locaine.
If he's good in steals, I would do it. Yeah. I could endorse that. I mean, Tanaka will be better, right? Than he's been.
Yeah, he was solid last night. I thought they left him in an extra inning too long, which is why he ended up giving up like the 3 runs in 6. I think
2-for-1 deal is solid there. In my opinion.
Listen, I like a guy like Peralta. He's not going to dazzle you with home runs or steals, but he is going to end up giving you good, solid runs scored, good on base percentage. Just hitting in front of Pollock and Goldschmidt. Hello.
The only thing is he healthy? Did something happen to him the other day? I thought that maybe he had an injury. I'm gonna have to. That would be my only hesitation because he does have some injury history there. But beyond, if he's healthy, yes, absolutely.
All right, check his health there, Sean, and make sure. I haven't pulled it up yet. All right, Jacob Federer wants to know he was offered Strasburg, Thor, and Pollock for Mike Trout. Am I crazy to not accept? Is there anything worth trading Trout for 6x6, 10 team where he is mediocre at starting pitching?
I mean, that's tempting, man. That's a lot. Yeah. I would do it head to head for sure. But yeah, I think even a rotisserie, yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting 2 elite starters in Strasburg and Thor, and you're getting a guy who, there's an injury risk for AJ Pollock, but power's coming from him. He's gonna, hopefully steal some extra bases. I would definitely do it also, especially if you need that pitching. If you need that pitching, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk. Let's go over to Periscope here. Oh, see, Dennis Roy hitting me with the Markakis is the truth. Come on, really, Dennis Roy? Stick to the gifts. Don't give me the commentary.
He's good at those, though. He's good at those. I'll give him credit.
He gives great gif. He definitely does give great gif. Let's see. What's this? At Oprieto9 just traded Inciarte for Ottavino in a categories league.
Yeah, that's my buddy. That's my buddy Oscar. He doesn't. I try and talk to him. He don't listen to me.
But then he says Ender will hit 200 hits again. Yeah, okay. He'll hit 200 hits. Then why are you trading him for Ottavino?
I'll explain to you Oscar's deal. Okay, Oscar plays in a category league that holds. He didn't express the entire thought here. That holds is one of the categories. Okay. And what I've tried to explain to him is, number one, it's stupid to play in a league that has holds. Number two,
it's as arbitrary as the wins category.
And number two, it's the luckiest position. It's the lucky. You can't try and trade for that. You just don't know what's going to happen. Ottavino may be great. And Ottavino may be the closer in a week. Then you get no holds. It's just very hard. I'll never forget. I think it was 2 years ago, not 2017, but maybe 2016 or maybe even 15. Somebody was telling me they won their league, and I'm like, "How'd you win?" He's like, "I had the number 1 holds guy." I'm like, "Who was that? Joel Peralta on Tampa? What?" Like Tampa won like 70 games that year. It's just listen, a saves and holds category, saves plus holds, does make a little bit of sense because then you kind of know what to target, but just holds. And just why even use that? Like a guy comes in the 5th with a 3-1 lead, he gets a hold. 6th inning, he gets the hold. 7th inning, he gets the hold. You get a hold. You get a hold. Everybody gets a hold. Don't put me in those leagues, man. But I understand his question, and he does. He's last in holds. He needs somebody. Ottavino seems reasonable. The Rockies aren't scoring a lot of runs. You would think he'll pitch in the 7th, 8th inning. Yes. And then you would also know that Wade Davis is, 1 injury away from not pitching the rest of the season. And now Ottavino's your closer, and now you got no hold. Now you're trading the saves guy for the holds guy. It's crazy.
Or Ottavino gets hurt like he always does, and then you're out.
Possible, too.
an outfielder, for a middle reliever who you could have just gotten over and over again with any other team.
Oscar also has been, we'll put him to sleep right now. Oscar's also been trying to sell me on David Price all year too. Let's just leave it at that.
End of story.
End of story.
Ralph Labuda wants me to talk a little bit about David Dahl and whether or not he's going to stay up with his call up here. Also wants to know, is Brantley finally going to have a healthy year? Ralph, I can't tell you whether or not Brantley's going to have a healthy year. I can't tell you if anybody's going to have a healthy year. I can hope, but like my granddaddy always says, you can wish in one hand and poop in the other and see which one fills up first. So, boom. I don't know if Brantley's going to be healthy. I would very much like him to be. As far as David Dahl staying up, Craig, where do you stand on him? Because I'm not a David Dahl truther. I don't even think the Rockies are David Dahl truthers. I think that he's up because they need the body, but I don't necessarily know if here's a guy who you look at and you say, well, he's going to be a sweet lefty bat. Can't wait to keep him in my lineup all the time.
A lot of strikeouts from Dahl early on. I did see him play against Miami. He did make a couple of nice plays in left field, but I'm just not sure that those gaudy Rocky type numbers that Blackman puts up is Dahl. I'm just not seeing it. So, I mean, he should be added just to see what happens, but I'm not gonna say 330, 20 home runs, 80 runs driven in. I'm not seeing that with him. I'm not.
No. All right. So we've talked about guys whose stock is rising. We've talked about the Braves. We've answered a bunch of questions here, Craig.
Yeah, we're almost out of time here, actually. We didn't even do what's in the shed yet.
We haven't done what's in the shed here. We haven't talked about the new faces who are up right now. Where do you want to go? Do you want to talk about how Brian Dozier, Chris Davis, and Ian Happ stink on ice right now? Do you want to talk about the fact that Alex Verdugo is probably a must pickup right now because Corey Seager is hurt and they're going to move Chris Taylor to shortstop on a regular basis? What would you like to talk about? Craig Mish,
we'll try and hit it all. We'll try and hit it all. Stock down over the last couple of weeks. Dozier is 11 for his last 65. Not sure why. Here's what I know about Brian Dozier. He's the best player in baseball in September and August every year. Every year. He's amazing. But for some reason, his first halves aren't very good, but he ends up with the numbers at the end of the season. If you're playing in a league that you're doing very well in, he's probably a target for you. And if not, you have to understand the numbers are coming at the end. Chris Davis is also struggled a lot from Oakland. Forget about the Baltimore Chris Davis. You should have no part of him. But Oakland's Chris Davis is also struggling. I would expect him to be better, but you've had to endure a couple of really bad weeks.
All right, but let me ask you about Chris Davis, because somebody asked me about him the other day. Yeah, I get the strikeouts are up. The dude's got 7 home runs on the year right now, and he's batting .220. Okay.
So he is.
But the dude has hit 40 home runs and batted .250 or lower in each of the last 4 seasons. Yeah. So is his stock really down? You know what you're getting into with him.
Oh, 220 is down, yeah. I mean, 220 is 20, 30 points lower. That's down for sure. And by the way,
he gets a couple of helps in the batting average on balls in play category there. All of a sudden, he gets a couple of lucky bounces, and boom, he's back up to 240.
No one in baseball has a worse batting average than him in the last 2 weeks. 1 for 21, or what this week? Over the last 7 days, nobody. Over the last 7 days.
I have to look and see this.
Look it up.
I need to see. Yeah. I'm looking it up, Mish. Oh, I'm looking it up.
The
right
last
now,
7 days, I think he's 1 for 21.
All right.
Am I right?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, dude. I'm going to tell you right now.
Ian Happ was the third one, and I think it's just it's too late. He's just not going to be good. I don't know.
Over the last 7 days, Chris Davis has hit a .050. That is tied for second worst over the last week with Carlos Santana. The worst, Brett Gardner.
Oh, that's right. It was Brett. He's 1 for 23, right? Yeah, I missed that one.
.048.
Oh, I was 0.2 of a point off. Yeah, Gardner, I didn't have stock up or down. I did see that today, but I'm neutral on him. I think he'll be fine. But I did want to talk about Davis because I think people are probably wondering. And then Happ. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I just think we're all going to be wrong on him. I mean, a lot of us liked him. I don't have him, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen for him.
Dude, the home run on opening day, that was hysterical. He hasn't done anything. It's like first pitch he saw.
Into the stadium. I was walking in, and somebody texted me, Hap's already off to a great start. I'm like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, my God. That's the worst. That is the worst.
Two faces. Alex Verdugo, you're right, probably stands to get more playing time now. Not so much with the injury to Seager, the injury to Puig. I think that Verdugo stands to play. Soroka, everybody knows by now. So, I mean, if you don't know who he is by now, you're really not playing intensely in fantasy. And Kingham had the great start last week. The Pirates give him another start. He is a start-to-start guy right now. I think if he has this good one, then he sticks. But if not, they could easily send him to the minors. So those are the three, I think, most intriguing players this week. And in terms of the waiver wire, this morning we were doing the show on SiriusXM, and I thought...
Don't say it. Don't say it. I know whose name you're going to say.
Who was it? No, I don't think so. On the Angels closer?
No. I thought you were going to talk about a waiver wire streaming starting pitching option.
No, I was going Angels closer.
Okay, who's that going to be?
I don't have the answer. That's it. Basically it's take a few bucks and throw it and mix it around a little on the Angels bullpen situation. If you paid $4 or $5 for 2 saves or 1 save, it'd be worth it. But as we're sitting here on a Friday at 1 o'clock on the East Coast, we don't have the answer. We may have the answer tonight. We may have it tomorrow because we'll know someone will get a save opportunity. But it's very unclear for me right now.
If you had to pick a favorite, Blake Parker, Cam Bedrosian, Justin Anderson.
Seems like Justin Anderson's the name. Seems like that's the name that's been brought up a couple different times. So I guess I don't know. Unclear for me on this one.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Unless you have any other final thoughts, let's play a little What's in the Shed.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. What's in the Oh, I see something good. I mean, I know I did this the last time we played What's in the Shed here, Craig. And we went with a little bobblehead theme. So I'm going to continue down that path here. The newest addition to the bobblehead collection here, Craig.
Oh, what do you got there? Where are all your bobbleheads? Sitting out of camera where you can't see?
Yeah, they're all over the place. Little Willie Mays in the car.
Yeah.
In the car. It's got, whoops. That sign's supposed to be turned around. I'll do that. But there you go. That's what's in the shed right now. Little Willie Mays bobblehead doll.
I like that one. Yeah. What is that? What is that? 1950. It's his retirement or something. What is the? No, it's not his retirement. I don't know. What is that about?
Yeah, April 14th, 1958. It was like, I don't know. This is what they gave away on opening day for the Giants.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that he was still playing in the 50s. Willie Mays played until the late 60s, 70s, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, this was, I guess this was to commemorate the Giants arriving in San Francisco on April 14th in 1958.
Sounds like a plan.
There you go. There you go. Cool. It'll look great next to my Aaron Judge bobblehead doll if somebody comes through for me.
Got to work on that.
What you got going on? Can you match me? I mean, you already busted out the lightsaber here. You got something in the office? Want to share?
I got, in honor of, let me see if I grab a Star Wars. Here we go. Just have this guy here. I don't know what his name is, but he's definitely one of the old school Star Wars figures.
Oh, wait.
It's from the original Star Wars figures. He's like some bad guy, Death Star guy.
Yeah, but that's not Grand Moff Tarkin, though.
No. It's just, I don't know, like what. You know what? I know that you have issues with the whole mom thing. My parents have really, they've done a good job keeping everything for me, but for some reason, the only thing that they got rid of was my Star Wars toys. All my baseball cards, all my video games, they kept it all for many, many years and everything. I think what happened was my figures were in that Darth Vader head case, the black one.
Oh, yeah.
Strap case. And I think that by accident, they didn't know because they were strapped in. They had those straps, and I think they shook it, didn't hear anything, and gave away the case, and there were like 30, 40 figures in there. I mean, they're not really worth anything, $5 a piece, something like that. But some of them survived. This one survived. I have Yoda somewhere too. Yoda survived, a few others, but I definitely lost a lot.
Do you have the Luke or the Darth Vader with the lightsaber in
I do.
the arm?
I have Darth Vader definitely somewhere in this house. I definitely have Darth Vader. I definitely have Luke in the Hoth outfit. I definitely have. Listen, I had all those, man. Like I was big into Star Wars back then, man. Huge. That's my what's in the office. This guy.
I like it.
Corporal something, commander something, generic guy.
We'll look it up. Yeah, right.
Death Star eventually.
Right. He's like a Star Trek guy with a red shirt. Just super expendable.
He's gonna die at some point in the movie. You know. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
All right, that's gonna do it for the live stream today, everybody. Oh, yep, there you go. Turn on your lightsaber. Good job. Good job. Seems like you might be overcompensating for something, but in any event, that's gonna do it for our live stream here. Oh, sure. I can't drop an F-bomb, but you can do that.
Edit that last part.
Oh, guys, thanks for tuning in. He's Craig Mish. I'm Howard Bender. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Fantasy Alarm live stream. We will catch you again on Tuesday next week, same time, noon Eastern. Thanks for stopping by.